Well, you guys, welcome. If you're just joining us, I want to let you know that my friend Tom Love, he's a certified financial planner. He has many other letters behind his name that I don't know what they mean, but I do know this. He's a really smart guy. He's super generous with his time and his energy and his skill. And he loves the Lord and he loves people. So that's kind of what we're here for. And we're going to do this together and kind of figure out in this truly unprecedented time, like never, ever before anything I've ever seen. I'm talking with people who are older than me, and they're also saying it's things that they've never seen. So we're all in something new right now. And I just wanted to ask Tom to just lead us a little bit through our own questions. I've got some questions that you guys have submitted. If you have questions, you can submit them on Instagram Live during our broadcast, and we'll try our best to answer as many as we can. So first of all, Tom, can you just, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm excited to be here.
Can you just tell us what you're seeing, like financially with your clients in this unprecedented time?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of mixed things happening. People are in different positions, obviously, financially, but I think overall people are stressed. Some people are handling that in lots of different ways. I think that the uniqueness about this challenge is that it's not just financially. Of course, we're all scared about going out and seeing different people and having those interactions and being afraid. And I think that adds another layer of uncertainty that is not common in the business world, and people are trying to adapt, and there's lots of challenges business wise for many different companies, many different industries. And so it's really, it's really stressful for sure for a lot of people. I would say my clients investment wise have been doing really great. So I think that part of what we've been doing over the last years is financial planning. So we've planned for challenges financially. And so many of them have reached out and said, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I know we have a plan. I'm not going to look at my statement right now, or, however they're going to handle that part, but they're going to say, yeah, Tom, I know you got it. And I'm excited and happy that, my retirement's still intact. We don't have to worry about these type of things. In fact, we've already talked about them before. So just kind of, preparing in advance, I think really helps for a lot of this stuff.
Are you finding yourself kind of wanting to remind people to stay the course? Like, is that part of what you're saying right now to your clients as far as their investments? Or because I know that if you look at any statement of any kind right now, it's shocking. So
yeah, I mean, I've been updating my clients and telling them what's going on with the markets. And I think that helps. I think that, sometimes that can be scary. I think sometimes in percentages, it makes it a little bit better. I think that the encouraging news, the reason why I'm optimistic around investments is that we've, looking at the longer numbers really helps a lot of people. And so you look further back and that helps. So the beginning of my email will say something like, hey, we're about 7% above where we were in the end of 2018. And it's like, wait, what? That's only 15 months ago. If you told me that right now and you never knew about any virus or anything, you'd say, oh, that's no big deal. Okay, no problem. But I think because we had this big run up last year and now it's come down, and obviously all of the implications of what's going on with the world is that, it's stressful. But I think when you take a little step further back, it helps. Some other key stats, I think, for investing is that over a 5-year period, the worst 5-year period is minus 3% a year. Okay. And so we've already had a bigger drop than the worst 5-year period in 1 month,
Wow.
Which is crazy. But that means that we've never had a 5-year period moving forward that's actually negative. So if you say, hey, some of this money is for 5 years from now, historically never actually been negative. And that can help you to encourage you to say, oh, well, maybe it's a good time to see if I have some money, or if the money that I do have invested, obviously it's in a good position for the next 5 years.
Well, and if you guys are just joining us right now on Instagram, this is my friend Tom Love. He's a certified financial planner. He's a guru. He's trained in financial peace. He loves to help people all along the spectrum, whether you are well set up with your investments or you're worried about your job or just lost your job. Tom is incredible all the way through. So we're going to talk about all of that spectrum today. So wherever you find yourself, I think you're going to be encouraged. If you have questions on Instagram, you can just go ahead and submit those. We're going to answer them near the end of the broadcast. So I'll be looking back over those. So feel free to ask those questions now, and we'll get to them in just a moment. So Tom, I want to talk about a couple of different places that people might find themselves. So let's say you are working. You're working from home. You have your job. Your job's intact right now. What's the most important thing that you can be doing financially?
Okay, so there's a stimulus bill. This just got signed yesterday. This is crazy, but basically self-employed people actually can get up to $600 a week right now for the next 4 months. And so if you've been affected, if your income is down from the virus, you can actually apply for that. and get $600 a week for 4 months, which is completely crazy. That's never happened before. That didn't happen during the financial crisis, because self-employed people, they can't just say, oh, you're fired, and then get unemployment insurance, right? So right now they're able to get those benefits that they normally can't get. So that's a huge resource. They should definitely be looking to that if their income is down. If they're doing great, then they're not going to qualify for that per se, but there's other things that they're going to have as far as income from the government and other different ways from the stimulus package.
So I know you probably didn't read like the whole 800-page stimulus package since it came out yesterday, but is there a cap? Like, is there a cap on that, who gets to apply to that?
Yeah, so there's a number of different things going on. So and like you said, it's just brand new, so we're trying to make sure we know everything we can about it. So if I don't have all of the exact information, some of it could be moving around a little bit, but I would say in general, there's two different things going on. So there's these checks, and a lot of people have heard about the checks. So the checks are a big deal. I'll just go into that for a little bit because I think that'll be helpful for people. So if you made between 75 and 100,000 as an individual, and that's based on the last time you filed your taxes. So if it was 18, that's based on 18 numbers. If it's 19, it's 19. Then you're going to get $1,200 as an adult. If you're married, you'd get double that, and the income limit is double. So it goes from 75 to 100 to 150 to 200. And it's based on the last time you filed. And so if you have any kids, it's $500 per kid on top of that. So if you have a family of 4, you made 150 grand in 2018, you haven't filed your taxes yet, you're going to get a check for $3,400 probably in the next month, or they might just deposit in your bank account if you've had that connection when you did your taxes before. So that's a big deal. Here's one of the key things that a lot of people don't know is that it's actually going to be based on your 2020 numbers. So if you happen to make over 200K, then you're going to be in a position where they're going to say when you do your taxes that you need to push that back. Yeah, so there's a brand new thing, $100 a week you can get from the federal government. And I think the basics of it is if you've been affected by this coronavirus in any way and your business is less, then you can apply for it and you can get this amount. There's also there's loans available that could be forgiven. And so that's a little bit tricky how exactly that's going to work. If you go to sba.gov, that has some more information there. You can fill out some applications. As far as small businesses in general, this is kind of tied together because 1099s are actually a small business. They are able to get a loan, and that's up to $2 million. I think it's going to be 2 weeks or something like that. And it's probably based on how much your income you've lost. So you're not going to get $2 million if you've lost $10,000 of income, but they may give you something like $10,000. And then you actually will get that loan forgiven if you're paying for payroll or your normal business operations. So that's a pretty exciting part of the new stimulus package for sure.
Did you say SBA.gov?
Yes.
Okay.
That Small Business Administration is what it stands for. And that's where that's going to be. As far as the unemployment insurance, the $600 a week, you're going to go to Virginia's unemployment insurance. I'm not sure what the website is, but if you just type in Virginia unemployment insurance, you should be able to get there. And they'll have different spots there for different people applying for different things. And it has like a big red thing that says, "Hey, coronavirus, this is what you got to do." So it's pretty. They're kind of ready, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty overwhelmed. So it might take a little longer than normal.
So, and that's probably true for any state, like anyone tuning in from any state, they go to their state, just Google your state plus unemployment. But what you're saying, right, Tom, if I'm hearing you right, is that even if you're self-employed and you've lost work, you should go to that site and see what they're offering.
Absolutely. $600 a week. I think it's going to be run through the state site. There was a little bit of confusion around that. So you might want to keep track of that. I think what we'll probably try to do is link some sort of New York Times article. They had a lot of good information that's got a lot of details here with common questions. So if you probably just Google New York Times, then you can probably find it as far as.
Well, we'll send those out. If you're on my email list, which most of you I think are, we're going to send you all these links when we post the video. So you'll get all that by tomorrow. So Tom and I will make sure that we huddle and give you all these links. I'll send you what I got for sure. So, so you don't have to write them all down right now. So thanks for joining us, you guys. If you're just coming back to us on live, we were having some technical issues. Tom is here, certified financial planner. He's a Dave Ramsey SmartVestor Pro. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah,
Oh, look at me. And lots of
there
other
you go.
letters behind his name. Top 40 under 40 financial advisor. Isn't that right? Didn't
Yeah,
you?
that's nationwide. I was number
Nationwide.
2 in the Richmond Times Dispatch, so that was pretty cool.
So, way
And
more important than all of that, although that's all awesome, is that Tom has a huge heart for people. He's super generous in giving out his information, his skills, whatever. So, you guys, just like I always tell you, I'm giving you free therapy. You have a free financial planner right now. So, if you have a question
you
you want
do.
to ask, you can just leave that question on Instagram and we will try our best to answer it. Question that just came through is this a good time to buy stocks?
Yes. So I think I went into that a little bit before. In the near term, it's hard to say. So nobody really knows the next few weeks or even months. And one of the challenges is that there's a virus and we don't know if there's going to be medicine that's going to be effective or when the vaccine is going to be all done. And so you have this uncertainty. And certainly there's a lot of companies doing poorly. And so that's priced into the market to a fair amount. This stimulus package we're talking about, the news of that hit earlier this week, and the market's up about 16% since Monday, which is a lot. But I think it still is a good price here. If you look at historically over the next year, you have about a 90% chance to make money, and the average return's about 25% historically. And over that 5-year period, it's never lost money at this price that you're buying here. So that's really encouraging. I would say, if you should have money that you're planning to have in there for probably 5 years. So if you're thinking you make money quickly, you might, but you might not. So just be careful with that.
So if you are buying stocks, you need to be in a position where you're leaving money there for a while. It's not like you're just trying to pull it in and out to make some money.
Yeah, you should plan for that. Now, let's say the market goes up 30 or 40%, and now you can take it out, no problem, because you made money, but you might not make money right away. So it's hard to know that. And I think that's why you have the intention of 5 years. You may not need to keep it in there 5 years, but it should be in your intention for sure.
Okay. I want to address an issue that I know is probably creating a lot of anxiety for some people right now. So we know that there's these stimulus packages out there. We know that there's some support if you're unemployed, but there's a gap between when all that's going to happen and perhaps like bills that are due right now, particularly if you found yourself in a situation where you're more living month to month, your job's gone, your income's gone, and you have bills due. What should you do if that's the situation you're in?
So they took the week out that it normally takes for unemployment insurance, and that you also don't have to apply for to get another job like you normally do. So they've done some things. There's another way for businesses, and I think sole proprietors can apply for this too, which is a $25,000 loan. A local bank should be able to expedite that to get you money right away. So those are two different options. This new law also allows you to pull money 100% out of your IRA or 401k. And you can do that without penalty, even though you're not 59 and a half. So that's kind of like the last resort for a lot of folks, because you don't really want to do that at this time if you can help it, because obviously it's a good price to have your money invested. But a couple other things that I think are noteworthy are Dominion is not going to shut your power off if you don't pay that bill. So they've said that's big. Student loans are suspended for 6 months. So if you got a student loan, you don't need to pay that. I think that happens automatically, but you can look into that a little bit. A lot of the banks are actually not necessarily going to charge you for stuff. So that's a little bit different. Banks have different things there, but I would call them. Most of them are opt-in. So you actually have to call them and say, hey, I don't have any money. What can we do? Talk to a manager, make sure that you can get an answer from them on that. But those are some practical things if you're really in a tough spot. I think those are the notes I got on there for that.
So basically, if that's the position you're in, you should be calling those bills, like call the number on those bills. Start with your bank. Is that what you're suggesting? Like say to your bank, I don't know what to do.
If you don't pay Dominion, they're not going to charge you any fees. You're going to have to pay it at some point, but they're not going to shut off your power, and you're in it, so you don't necessarily need to call them. I guess you could if you wanted to verify that, but, so you don't need to do that. Student loans should be automatic too, so that's nice. But it's just good to know. I think that right now, if you're in that position, you really should be looking at what are all my bills? What do I have? What are the stuffs going out? And really try to prioritize things and say, okay, if I can get away with not paying X, Y, Z, maybe I'll have some extra money for something else. Should
people be planning? I know you don't know the answer to this. You don't have a crystal ball, but should you be looking 30 days out, 90 days out? Like where should you engage with this question if all of a sudden you're thinking, all right, I'm going to try to find the stimulus, I've got to do that side of things to get some income coming in, but I've got these bills. My credit card payment is due and I can't make the minimum payment or a payment. What does that look like?
Yeah. I think that, as far as short term, trying to call those different companies, call the credit cards, can maybe able to push some of those out. Obviously, in the first few weeks, this is the hardest part, and this is part of the challenge: is how effective and how fast can some of this money come in from unemployment and other sources. But I would say if you're eligible for the max amount for Virginia, it's $1,000 a week, and that's pretty good. And so hopefully you're going to get that in a short period of time, depending on if you're self-employed or W-2. But I would say in general, you should be looking at, normally we say 3 to 6 months of reserve, right? That's like a normal recommendation. So when periods like this happen, you're not as worried because you have reserve. You would probably err towards the side of 6 months during this period. So you can say, okay, there's a more uncertainty. Certainly you can look at your specific profession, but hey, we might want to have a little bit more reserve than we normally would, just in case we do lose our job in the near future.
Okay. What if there's just so much fear right now. If you are, should you be reexamining your investments and your income right now? If all the feelings of, well, what if this continues? What if this continues? How far out into the what ifs are you personally experiencing with you and your family?
Personally, I'm not as worried. There's a number of reasons for that. I think that part of it's that I don't need my clients to come see me to bill them on their accounts. And so I'm in a position I'm very blessed where I'm not as susceptible. Yeah, my income is down because I make money based on what people have invested. But at the same time, we're in a really good position. But I would say, as far as others looking forward to say, how long should you look forward, or how long is this going to last? That's a really important and tough question to answer. And I think that nobody really knows that. Earlier this week, Trump talked about that happening sooner than people expected. And the market really liked that. So I think that business likes that. Is that the best decision medically is another question. And so I think that that's a really challenging thing that people don't know. And I think that's part of this element of uncertainty and fear business-wise, is not knowing that answer. But I would say, hopefully in the next couple of months, worst case scenario, obviously we're looking at probably later in the summer, where you're looking at sort of a return to normal. And so that is that's an important question. And what happens there is a big deal.
Very helpful. Okay. I've got another reader question that's come in. We have a 529. Okay. So a 529 is an education, right, account. Is that right?
Yep.
And should we plan on paying with reserve savings or for a loan for the first semester to let the 529 bounce back?
Your 529 should be invested in a way where it's ready to pull it out. If that didn't happen, then yes, maybe that would be okay. But you can pay loans back now with 529s, which is different than before. So that's brand new. That was new, I think, for the early this year. So that's a new thing you can do. But generally, if you're at this stage where you're paying it off, you should not be invested in a way that's as aggressive. And so,
you shouldn't have seen you shouldn't have seen a huge hit on your 529. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, a lot of those are in target date funds, but if you have an advisor, they should be switching them out as you get closer, and that's part of what they're supposed to do. So hopefully they're doing their job, or you're in a target date, and that a lot of it should be conservative, and conservative investments have been doing fine. So, I think that's part of the reason that retirees and other folks are not as worried as you may think, because they have a balance in their accounts with some that are conservative, some that are aggressive, and those conservative side have been doing fine. And that's where they're pulling from as they're retired.
Very helpful. Okay. We're going to get ready to wrap up. Anyone on Instagram, if you're joining us and you have a financial question that you want to submit, you can just write that question in and we'll try to answer it. We're going to send you these links on my email. So you go to NicoleUnice.com, sign up for my email list. You'll get all those links tomorrow, as well as a rebroadcast of this interview, if all goes well, because we've never tried this before. So if you missed any of it, you can hear it again. Very helpful information. So my question for you, Tom, as we kind of close, is, with no shame at all, if anyone here, I think this is a time where people feel a lot of fear and maybe like some shame, like I have not run my financial house the way that I should have. We've been living or spending beyond our means. What am I going to do right now? But moving forward out of this, for people who are experiencing perhaps like the hard knocks of, we're not as prepared as we thought we were for something like this to happen, where do you start? Like, what's the first thing to do coming out of this? Let's say we've been refreshed back to where we were before.
Yes, that's a good question. I think that this is a time where that's happening a lot. And so people are paying attention to this a lot more than normal. And so that's a normal thing to feel. And so you're feeling this regret and guilt that I messed up, I didn't do the things right. And when it goes to shame, that means that you think you're a bad person because of that. And that's actually really dangerous. And you need to fight that and say, no, I made mistakes. Okay, let's learn from them. So use this motivation that you have now to say, I'm actually going to change some ways. I'm going to learn different things. I'm going to try to figure out, do I need to save up this 3 to 6 months? How do I do that? I think the first steps is, where are you spending money now? If you haven't had this reserve, why not? Okay, well, what am I spending money on? Maybe I need to cut some things back for now or in the future when things return back to normal, whenever that is. So I think that use this time of feeling that way to kind of look at things objectively, try to look at the facts and try to do better moving forward. I would just say in general, this is a stressful time. So try to get back to some of the basics, like take care of yourself physically, pray. Like this is a time where you really want to sort of engage and say, hey, I need to take care of myself, my family. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way, but it's really important to try to do that right now so that you can make good decisions around your money too.
That's great. Okay, one more question from Jennifer. She just asked, is it worth the hassle to refinance our home with the new rate right now?
Absolutely. So I think that's a perfect thing. We didn't mention that already. Refinancing is a great thing to do. If you're in a position where you whatever rate you're at, they're probably lower now. So you can look at that, get connected with whoever you can. I think that's a great idea. Usually there's a break even time. That's what you think about. You need to be in that house for a certain period of time. A lot of times that's a year, maybe 18 months right now, maybe even sooner. And then after that, you're going to be saving money the whole time. So that's a really good idea. And it's a great thing to do right now.
Awesome. Okay. If you have a question, go ahead and shoot it in before we end. Here's kind of the top 3 things that I heard that we'll include on the email. The first was, make sure you check out your state's unemployment package by Googling your state and like Small Business Association or just unemployment, because you may qualify and not even realize that you qualify. So everybody should do that. The second was, don't worry about your investments in the long term, because over 5 years, they're going to probably bounce back up. This isn't a time to like freak out, because generally it's going to be better than you think. The third is make sure that you are taking care of yourself in this time so that you can kind of reestablish what's most important moving forward. Would you say, Tom, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I got to work out. I've got to exercise, and I know that sounds basic, but like you need to have the same bedtime, same wake up times, work out, try to get space. I mean, basic stuff. But I think that those are crucial right now. I would actually limit or look at what's stressing you out right now. A lot of people, it's the news. A lot of people, it's the financial news or the just news in general. Try to maybe limit some of that time so that you're not bringing yourself down as far as you maybe should. So I think that hopefully that's helpful. I think in general, it's a challenging time, but I think it's an opportunity for people to make some more money investment wise, or to try to reestablish some good habits moving forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. You've been fantastic. Guys, give a big clap up for Tom, my very first live video interview that we've had. So it's been great. We'll get you back, Tom, if something new happens and we need to know about it. You guys have questions, you can send them to me. Thank you so much for being here, y'all. We will see you again, not tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have a Sabbath, but I'll be back at noon for our Monday touch point. Okay, you guys?